His collection of high school keepsakes is vast.
That's the Katrina year. This is the ID from when Warren Easton reopened.
Chase Kansian is now 35. When Hurricane Katrina hit back in 2005, he was a 15-year-old sophomore at Warren Easton High School in Mid-City.
It was hard navigating laws, uncertainty, change. It was very abrupt.
After moving to Arkansas for several months, Chase was fortunate. He was able to come back to Warren Easton and finish school.
Leaning on family is what really allowed us to really all process it collectively and individually.
But when Chase came back, Easton was a charter school, and dozens of others were headed in the same direction. And 20 years after Hurricane Katrina, that's now the model. Out of 67 public schools in New Orleans, 66 are charters. Only one is run by the school district. 20 years after Katrina, is the school system in a better or worse place now that we're 20 years past the storm?
I think the data tells us that we're doing better.
Dr. Fatima Fulmore is the superintendent of schools in Orleans Parish, hired earlier this year.
When I think about the evolution of the charter system here, I think it took a lot of courage to do something that has not been done before. I also think it took a lot of collaboration, meaning a lot of people had to come together and be in a place of agreement.
A charter school just means that's an independent board for a private group that runs the school. But all funding still runs through OPSB and is generated through tax dollars. So the school board funds charters, but a private board who hires leadership on its own runs the actual school. And the process has not been an easy one. OPSB has had to revoke numerous charter licenses, and some operators have run into criminal and legal troubles, leaving kids and parents in bad spots. Just last December, some charter schools were closed, leaving parents scrambling. But Dr. Fulmore says the vast majority of charter operators are thriving.
I think when we talk about our graduation rate going from 54% to 79%, I think when you look at our data from last year to not having any failing schools, I think when you see that for consecutive years, we've been a top improving system for growth, mastery growth on state assessments. I think when you see that we have more children entering into college, more scholarship dollars, earn more services for students' mental health and social emotional needs, I think that's progress.
Some aren't yet sold.
Holistically, yes, I disagree with that. Do charter schools work for some kids? Yes. But I think we've come to a point where we have to start thinking more hybrid.
Dr. Ashanta Wyatt is a longtime education advocate and consultant.
20 years after the storm, can you believe we've gotten to a system where it's almost all charters except for a handful of schools?
I still can't believe it, and I do not think it is the best option for the majority of our children.
Dr. Wyatt says under the charter system, neighborhood schools have become almost non-existent.
You're busing our children out of their natural environment where their friends and families are. You could get to know your teachers because oftentimes they live in the community that they serve. Well, now you have kids on the East Bank of New Orleans coming to school on the West Bank of New Orleans and vice versa. It has absolutely lost the nostalgia of neighborhood community.
And she even has questions about classroom results.
We have not targeted a working personnel base that is intentional. We're losing so many qualified professionals in the field of education because of a system that just does not work.
We've continued to look at accountability for our schools in ways where we can make the difficult decisions when our schools are not meeting certain expectations in delivering on what our children deserve.
20 years after the storm, the debate still rages on. Students who lived through Katrina keeping tabs on the schools and the state of the current system.
Charter schools have there's been some red tape and there's also been some gentrification. So there's arguments on both sides and I see the pros and cons to both.
Travers Mackle, WDSU News.